Okay, so we're going to introduce you to our podcast, which we're going to be starting and being very consistent with over the course of this sports season and moving forward. And it's basically to advertise our sports community, Chosen One Sports Picks, which is run by myself, Jcap, and by Binks. And so essentially, that community is a community we started because we're pretty passionate sports bettors. We enjoy watching all the sports, and we've become like relatively successful betting on all the sports. And so we decided to start a community where we could share all this with other people, build a community of like-minded people where they can also share their wins and experiences with other people. And then additionally, like we want to offer it for free. So we've made this community as a free trial through WAP. And so you can basically win with us to prove that we're worthy of your time and your money. So that's like a brief introduction, but we're going to go into more detail about like how we started sports betting, how we got into this business and like why you should trust us. And on top of this podcast, assuming I edit everything correctly, you're going to be able to see essentially like some results from our first month in the Telegram channel. And if you were a part of it and you followed our picks exactly, which other people have, you would have made approximately 30 units on your money. Which is pretty amazing for a month, of sports betting. And so we offer all kinds of stuff, but I'm going to let Binks take it away and sort of introduce himself now, because he's a lot of the brains behind a lot of our sports betting. And so go ahead.
Hey guys, it's Binks here. So yeah, like you said, I'm the number one sports capper for the Chosen One sports community. So yeah, I've been doing this for a while now. How I got into all this is pretty crazy. I've been hearing about sports my whole life. My dad really got me into it when I was a kid. He would always sit down and watch every sport that was on, and just watching him place bets from young got me into it. And I ended up placing my own bet, and I turned 20 into 3 to 400, and that really got me hooked right off the bat. And over the years, I've really gotten into it and just seen how sports have grown from when I was younger to where it's at now is just insane. They add all the lines on all the games that are on. Um, there's infinite books out there, so you never have to be worried about being banned from one if you beat them there because another one's just opened up around the corner. So yeah, just to go back to my first wins, those were great. But over the years, through trial and error, I've experienced losses. So that's how we've gone to this point now. It just got to a point where I didn't want to lose anymore. So I wanted to figure out how to really beat these books. And it took a lot of trial and error, like I said, and reading and trying different strategies. And we are here now. And like Jacob's mentioned before, our first month in the Telegram community, we managed to print out 30 plus units, which is huge. So on a 10K unit, that would be 300K on a $100,000 unit. That'd be 30K. So yeah, we look to just share our knowledge and give you our insight on the sports that are happening on a day-to-day basis, right? And that's the beautiful thing about sports is it doesn't stop. It's every day. From one season to the next, you can always look forward to the next game that's being on. And with the right insight and the right discipline, you can really come to beat it. So I'm just gonna pass it back to J Caps here while I organize this.
Yeah, I'll go a bit about my history as well. So I've been gambling basically as for years now. I mean, it's almost 10 years. I started gambling when I was younger with friends, betting on all kinds of things, but mostly playing poker. Through that, I started taking poker a lot more serious, and that led me to basically joining all kinds of different like poker clubs in the city we grew up in. Playing on the internet, and then through that, I sort of found sports betting. That's like a very popular thing among poker players. They sort of sweat the sports games while the poker was running. And so I got into through that, and I started learning more deeply about how the actual book side of the sports works. And so this is very different compared to the current environment. Let's say even 5, 6, 7 years ago, when I was very involved in the poker world. I still am, of course, but when I was really involved. And so now it's like way more available. It's legal in most places now. And so you have tons of options in terms of like finding lines. You don't have to use like sketchy books or any of that stuff anymore. But that's basically what I witnessed. And, I saw a lot of people lose their butt, betting sports when I was in that environment. I think most people actually do. And I think there's a lot of like lack of discipline and stuff like that. And I think there's a lack of guidance, would be the better word, where most people join it because other people around them are joining it, or they're just hooked on gambling. And so they get exploited because of that, right? And so they're chasing the thrill rather than actually focusing on the analytics and the data of what's happening in the games, right? And so I think that's very common, especially in social media these days. You see all kinds of people talking about sports and talking about sports betting and oh, they're doing this and they're doing that and they're gambling on these insane parlays, and those people are just gambling, they're chasing the thrill, but we're actually trying to win. And so I think that that's the biggest difference, is that both of us sort of grew grew up in those communities, but we viewed them as, okay, this is an opportunity to make profits and make money, not an opportunity, to go and like chase a thrill. And so we're not thrill chasing. Like everything is like just by the book. So I think that that's basically what's represented this community. And I know there's people out there that are interested in, number one, learning how to do that, but number two, following people who have already been proven to be successful at that to make money and find an edge. And so I think that's what you would find in our community. And so that's a bit about how we got into sports betting. So we're going to go over a little bit about the Telegram. So go ahead, Binks. Go talk a little bit about how this
All right,
Telegram is going to be
so
run.
what you guys can expect to see in our Telegram channel here is everyday bet slips, sports insight on what's happening, our strongest bets on the day. We're gonna go over futures, who we like to see close out the seasons, and just basically how to really win. So in a more depth course, I can teach bettors that are interested in being successful the math, the breakdown, and the discipline to it. Because on our Telegram channel, I'll be supplying the picks, but you guys won't really see the work that it takes to come up with those picks behind the scenes. It's a lot of math based, and I feel like a lot of people, like you said, they don't have the right followers to back. Sorry, bro.
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah. Um, they don't have the right guidance, like you said. That was the right word you used there. They don't have the right guidance. So we're gonna be out here trying to guide you guys. And basically, I'm gonna give you the best picks on the day. So that's what sports betting is about. Most people, they're trying to get the biggest bang for their buck. They want to turn 20 into 1,000, and that's not really how you win. Now, your odd parlay, you're gonna get the 5, 6 teams, but people need to know that it's very, very difficult to do that. So people out there with other communities, they sell you on this dream about hitting this 5, 6 leg, which is possible, but it's very unlikely. How you really beat the books is lowering your variance, keeping it down to 2 team parlays, keeping it down to even 3 team parlays or singles. And what I perfected is the single bettings, and with a proper unit system and the right discipline, you can really make money from this. And it's crazy because on a single MLB slate day, there could be 12 games, 12 to 15 games. And I like to pick basically 1 to 2, maybe 3 picks on that day, and that is how you win. You take your most confident picks and you smash them, and that is the only way to win. If you try to go to every game and you try to think of who's going to win this game, that is just not going to work in the long run. And I feel like you can apply that to every single sport out there, whether it's tennis, whether it's UFC, whether it's basketball, whether it's football. But you need to find your spots and you need to find the weaknesses in the books. So this is basically what we're going to be going over in the Telegram community if you want to have that kind of insight. But there's also going to be a section where you can just pick up the picks for the day. And if that's your kind of thing where you just want to make money with us, it's definitely welcomed. But if you want more insight, we offer that as well. I'm just going to pass it
Yeah,
back to Jake.
I would. I appreciate that. Everything was very well said. What I would say is, when people go to the casino, right, and they're going for the thrill, they're going to play. But the longer you play, right, the more you play, the more you lose, right? The casino wants you to stay and play. That's why when you go to the casino, there's no windows, right? That's why you can't tell what time of day it is in the casino. That's why they bring you free drinks and free food, and they give you incentives to stay at the casino, right? Oh, you want to go eat? No problem. You earn food comps. It's cheaper now to eat at the casino. They want you in the casino so you're playing. But the reality is, if you went to a blackjack table and you smashed, I'm not recommending to do this, by the way, but if you smashed a hand in blackjack for 5,000, right? One hand, it's basically 50-50, maybe slightly worse odds, but approximately 50-50, whether or not you're going to win that hand, right? So the same thing is true for sports, right? Like you can make all these small bets and like spread it out and do all this stuff, and you could try all these different parlays. But the reality is like finding that one spot where you're really confident and smashing that one spot is the highest probability chance that you can win. And so we're not going to release bets to you unless we truly believe that these are high quality bets and like we're going to put our own money behind it, right? And so it's basically that simple, right? So nothing's going to be given to you just because we need to release bets, right? If there's a day where we're like, hey, there's no good bets, like we're not going to give you low quality bets, or we're going to warn you ahead of time, hey, this is a really high quality bet. We're extremely confident in it, and these ones are lower quality bets. We're not as confident in these. And so if you're looking to tail something like that, this is a community that you can try out and basically experience, by the way, for free. And so you can go try us for free, and you can cancel, basically right away if you don't like it, or if you're losing money or whatever, you feel it's low quality. But essentially, that's what we're trying to offer. And so I think a lot of people don't really understand that when it comes to gambling in general. Like they're always looking to chase a thrill, but if you want to make money, it requires that discipline. A lot of people don't really have that discipline. We can provide that for you, which is another value to the community.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. Well said.
So that's basically that. So in terms of the upcoming sports seasons, we're kind of like starting this right around, the beginning of NFL, NHL, NBA, NCAA, basketball and football, and etc. are starting. So there's a lot of stuff there. Baseball is still running till October. So there's a lot of stuff happening right now in the sports world. So Binks, go ahead and explain how you're planning to target all these different sports. Like, where are you most comfortable? What can people expect to see in the community?
Okay, so as of right now, our last month dominating those 30 units was in the MLB. So we're just closing out the season for that as we transition into the NFL season. So with the MLB season coming to an end, I like to kind of pull back a little bit because stuff starts to get a little bit unpredictable with certain teams playing for almost nothing, right? They don't even have a playoff spot. They're not getting into a wild card, so they're just kind of here to ruin records, you know. So on a weird day, you can have big underdogs come up. So I try to step back a little bit, but that doesn't mean we're not crushing still. The World Series is coming up. I like to look. I like to look at lines for the futures there, where we can get some good value, and there actually is a lot of decent value. So even though on a day-to-day basis we are betting the MLB right now, we will slow it down in the next 3 weeks. But if you're in the Telegram community, you can still lock in those picks, and they're still with high confidence. So talking about futures for the MLB, let's see, who do we have here favored to win the World Series? It is going to be the Dodgers. The Dodgers are a really strong team. They're fully healthy. They had a couple good really good pickups out there. Their bullpen goes deep, so they can close out games, but they are struggling with their starting pitchers. So I'm going to give you guys a couple other futures that I like that you could possibly lock in. The Phillies are out there. They're huge. They got Zach Wheeler. They have four out of their five starting pitcher man rotation under a 4 ERA. This late in the season, it's very, very impressive. So I can see them going deep into the playoffs. And if you guys wanted like something to sweat on really big plus money, there's a couple picks out there. So the Diamondbacks right now too are really deep. Let's just pull that up so you guys can get the futures line. So the Yankees right now to win the World Series are plus 325. I think that's decent value, considering that they are heavily stacked. The Yankees are out there. The Yankees are a great offensive team, but they definitely lack in the defensive side. So I don't see them going too far, but I see them continuing past the first round. They really struggle in their bullpen. They don't have a lot of good closers, but I feel like they overly stack their offense there, so it's going to be bad for them late in the playoff run. A couple sleeper teams, like I mentioned before, it's going to be the KC Royals. They nobody really talks about them too much, but they have a crazy offense with Bobby Witt Jr., one of those young rookies that's just making a killing. Um, we got a couple OGs in there with Salvador Perez and yeah, definitely a sleeper pitching rotation, man, with Seth Lugo, Cole Ragans, both an impressive ERA. So you guys can get them at actually plus 3,000, which is not bad at all. Even if you see them pass the first round, second round, if you're on Bet365 or any of these online books, you can take a nice cash out. So they don't necessarily need to win, right? And what we're in the business about is making money, right? So if you can make those confident bets and you have the right knowledge to back them, we can see those teams go deep and just take a cash out when you feel comfortable or when it's necessary, and maybe they're coming up against a bigger and better team, so you don't need to risk it. And that's basically it for the MLB right now. The Orioles are really good. They do have a crazy pitching staff as well with Zach Wheeler, Aaron Nola, Ranger Suarez. They also boast a crazy batting lineup with Schwarber, Turner, all those big hitters. The Braves were a big upset this year, so we don't see them going too deep in the playoffs there. I really think it's going to come down to the Dodgers. So if you want to pick it up there at plus 325, it's not bad value at all. But that's basically it for the MLB as we close that out. We're going to be getting into the college football NCAA F. There's a lot of teams to go over there, but yeah, we'll be diving into the next week when that really picks up. So we just had the first week go by, made a couple plays that I didn't release in the podcast because I'm building my own confidence with it. And like Jcap's mentioned, I'm not going to release something to you guys that I'm not very confident in. Even though I went 2-0 and I did win both bets, we'll be working on that to provide you guys with some good picks for the college football if that's something that you guys are into.
What about the
And
NFL?
NFL,
What are your thoughts on that?
NFL week one. We can talk about week one. Big game coming up, KC and Baltimore Ravens, man. So that line opened at -1.5. What did it open at? KC. Oh, we got the Eagles there. Let's see. Yeah, Baltimore Ravens and Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. That's going to be a good week one.
What's the line for that game?
The line for that game is -3. So
For
we
who?
got -3 for KC for the Chiefs. They are the
They're at
defending.
home.
Yeah,
They have the
they are.
field goal. They have the field goal home. So they basically both things it's a coin flip between the two of them, but they give KC 3 points at home as defending champs. I like the Ravens. I mean, for you to give me plus money, I feel like they're going to be like super aggressive. I believe that like in training camp, I think that the teams that have like games to look forward to. Like at the end of the day, the Chiefs are the Chiefs. Like they won their Super Bowl, and like they won the Super Bowl, and I understand like they're a fantastic team in their home, etc. But the Ravens are like really hungry. Like they haven't proven anything. And generally speaking, like I think training camp is a really important predictor of the first game of the season. And I think the teams that are highly motivated and have like an important first game, at least in their eyes, will be more motivated to show up for that game, and really prepare hard for it.
Yeah.
And so the Ravens coming in on the road, I think they have a lot of reason to like be very hungry in training camp and have a really good like game plan and be very aggressive going to that first game. What are your thoughts?
I fully agree, man. I actually really leaning towards the Ravens +3. I could see it coming down to a field goal game, and
Yeah,
if you don't mind taking a little bit more risk, it's actually good value taking them at plus money instead of paying the juice on the +3.
to win the
You
game.
got Lamar. Yeah, you got Lamar Jackson. They picked up a couple good guys too. He's got that star tight end. What was his name again?
Mark Andrews.
Yes, Mark Andrews. So
And they
he's a
also
good
got
target
Derrick
for him.
Henry too, which is going to be very, very, very difficult to stop in the run game. And so I think that's a little bit unpredictable for that first game of the season when you combine their run game. I really think that they're going to be very hungry coming into that first game. Like there's a whole thing with like Super Bowl hangovers. Now they've won two in a row. And so
Yeah.
I think there's something to be said for that. And I like the Ravens as well. I think they're going to have a good game coming out first game of the season. What are your thoughts on the New York Jets this year? Aaron Rodgers is really exciting. They got screwed for four plays into the last season, 2023, and I think that's like basically a Super Bowl or bust. I mean, at the end of the day, he's 40 years old, coming off an Achilles injury, but he's still Aaron Rodgers. He's most likely still going to have Aaron Rodgers' arm and Aaron Rodgers' brain, even though his legs might not work exactly the same as if he was 30 years old. Do you
No,
think the
for
Jets are
sure.
going to be a good team this year?
I think they're going to be solid, but like you said, he's getting a bit old. You got to know when to hang up the towel. Like you said, he's still Aaron Rodgers, so I can still see him producing some magic out there. But it's going to be tough to keep up with the younger and more agile quarterbacks out there.
Who do you think is going to win the Super Bowl this year?
It's tough to say, man. It's tough to say. I feel like Casey's going to go deep again, obviously, but I think a real chance lies in the Eagles, man. Eagles offense and defense, they really been picking up some steam there. They've been doing a lot of work. They got the young Jalen Hurts, couple crazy wide receivers. I think they can go really deep in there. So I think it's going to come down to the Eagles getting deep, KC. What are your thoughts on who's going to win the Super
I
Bowl
like the
there?
Niners again. I mean, I think they're stacked, and I think that they can for sure win the Super Bowl. I think Brock Purdy's good enough to have them win a Super Bowl. I saw all this stuff saying like he's not good enough, and he's a system quarterback. I don't know. I think he's good enough, and I think that their team is pretty loaded. They're basically bringing every single person back. I think they have an issue with Trent Williams still, but I'm sure they'll figure out a way to solve that in terms of their offensive line. I think they're going to be a solid team. I like the Lions as well. I'm not sure if Jared Goff is good enough, but he's been to a Super Bowl before. I think their team is really, really stacked. So if they stay healthy, I think they're going to be quite good. I see a lot of hype around the Green Bay Packers. I'm not sure about all that. I mean, like I know they had a good end to the season, but I don't know about them being like Super Bowl contenders. I think if everything falls right for the New York Jets, I think that they can win the Super Bowl. But at the end of the day, like that's never really happened. As far as I've been watching, as long as I've been watching football, I've never seen a Jets team that has actually like basically like had their act together and didn't get screwed over in some ridiculous way or something happened. So I'm basically
Yeah,
skeptical of that. I really like the Bengals if Joe Burrow can stay healthy. I think they have a solid team. They have a good offensive line. They improved that. He's really, really good. Like he's like a top three quarterback in the NFL when healthy. I think that they'll find a way to get Jamar Chase on the field. I don't think it'll be a problem. And so I think the Bengals are really good. I don't believe the Chiefs are going to win three in a row purely because like that's a really hard thing to do. Like
no,
basically
I
everything
fully
has to
agree.
go perfect, to do that again. And so coming out of the AFC, who's going to come out of the AFC? I think there's like a few clear potential options. Ravens, Bills, Jets, Bengals are like four teams that really come to mind. I know the Texans are like insanely hyped up with CJ
CJ
Stroud. They have
Stroud,
the
yeah,
they got the
CJ
young
Stroud.
wide receivers. They added Stephon Diggs. They have Will Anderson on the defensive line. They have all these amazing talent. They just signed, I think, a bunch of new players on their defensive side of the ball. And so like they're obviously like really going all in on that like rookie contract quarterback situation. Um,
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm buying into the hype. I think the Texans are going to be a really good team. I think they're clearly going to win their division. I don't believe in any other team in their division. I don't think that. I do think it'll be a competitive division, meaning that like when they play the Colts, when they play the Titans, I think it's going to be a good game for them. I think that when they play Jacksonville, I think it's going to be a good game for them. But I believe they're going to relatively easily win their division. I think they're going to be a good team. I think they're going to go relatively deep in the playoffs this year, provided they stay healthy. And I think that they can come out of the AFC. So those are the teams that I'm watching. In terms of like value, I think that the Bengals and the Bills are like pretty good value. Like I mean, the Bills, everyone's talking about how they don't really have wide receivers. Their offense is
Yeah.
like maybe not what Josh Allen is still Josh Allen. He's still an MVP candidate. I think he can win the MVP this year because he's in a position to do it. Like the award system in the NFL is like this weird system where it's like there's not really like clarity in terms of like what the award is. It's more about situation. And so Josh Allen being Josh Allen, but not having Stephon Diggs, if he has a Josh Allen year where he plays quite well, it's more of like it'll be MVP worthy because he doesn't have all this additional help. Whereas Lamar Jackson having an amazing year, oh well, he has Derrick Henry and he has this and he has that. So it's like it's basically
Yeah.
a different situation. People are held to different standards in the NFL. So that's my AFC. NFC, like I said, I like the Niners, I like the Lions, I like the Packers. Those are three teams that I think can do pretty well coming out of the NFC. I think the Bears can make the playoffs with Caleb Williams. I think they're going to be a good team. I think he's legit. And so I like what I saw in I know it's just preseason, but he looked really good. I think you'll have like some rookie experiences in the NFL where like some high quality defenses will, chew him apart in some games. But I do think the Bears are going to be a solid team this year. Like you said, the Eagles, if everything goes well, I do think the Eagles can be a Super Bowl contender. However, what I would say with respect to the Eagles is that they had this like weird kind of like car crash season to end last year. And so they kind of
Yeah.
like added some new pieces. They added, Saquon Barkley to their backfield, which can be, if he's healthy, extremely dynamic for their offense. The question is like, does their coach actually have their room still, or are things going to, sort of maybe they start the season 1-3 and the wheels fall off and they have to fire everyone, and not necessarily restart, but sort of like get a new voice in that room. So I could sort of see a situation where they have a bad first half of the year, they get rid of their coaching, and then they replace it, and sort of that new voice sort of leads to something positive. Or it wasn't the coach after all. Some bad stuff happened last year. They got banged up, and they have a really good season again this year. The Cowboys, I don't have any belief in the Cowboys. They have all this weird stuff going on with Jerry Jones. And yeah, so I mean, I understand they're probably going to be a good team because historically speaking, they've been basically good every single year that Dak has been the quarterback. I do think they'll make the playoffs, but I don't really believe anything will happen again. And I think some changes will be necessary in Dallas. So that's my thoughts on Super Bowl futures and just like sort of what I think is going to happen in the NFL season. Um,
Yeah. What do you like for week one here for the Baltimore Ravens and KC for like a pick? What
I think the Ravens are going to win the game. So I would bet if they're getting juice on the money, I would take the money
yeah.
line. I would bet Ravens to win the game, or +3. I think is a good bet as well. I mean, getting a field goal, I think is a good line. I think that I would take it.
Yeah.
Um,
So one thing I was explaining to you before were the derivatives in sports. So derivatives meaning first quarter bets, first half bets, third quarter bets. I feel like there's a
I
lot
think
of
that would be a
value.
fantastic bet. I mean, I think first
Yeah.
half Ravens, what depending on what the line is, I think first half Ravens
First
might be a
half
really good
Ravens,
bet.
yeah, I'm looking at them right now, and I've already been looking at them all week, right? So I like plus a half on the Ravens. I feel like they're gonna come out and really stun KC here because
Me too.
the books don't know. They have it at set -3. These guys have home field advantage. They're defending Super Bowl champs. They don't know what's going to happen. So I feel like this is a good line to just jump on. It's good value. You can get Ravens first half at plus a half. So that means if there's 0-0, you win your bet and you get that at -110. So if
Hmm.
you're looking to just double your money there, I feel like there's a lot of value there, man. It's good. Come out gunning, stun them a bit. Maybe KC settles in a bit in the second half, makes it a close game,
Yeah.
and then Ravens come out top.
I
But I
think
feel
that
like
I think that you're totally right. Yeah, I can sort of see that. I can see the Ravens sort of running them into the ground in like a way that people are not expecting. I mean, I don't think people are going to know how to handle Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. And this is the first game of the season. Everybody's healthy, like they're ready to roll. And so it's like
exactly,
I think
bro.
they're going to come out and sort of just like run over some people pretty quickly in the first half of that game. And people are going to be like, whoa, like this is crazy.
Well,
Maybe KC kind of
exactly,
comes back and makes it a game in the second half. I do feel like it'll be quite a
exactly.
close game. I don't think it's going to be a blowout, but I could see
Yeah.
them having a couple drives in that first half where they just sort of like literally run it down their throat. If I had to guess, that would be the game plan. Like, hey, we are going to
Yeah,
run this ball down their throat, and they probably have a bunch of new plays built out, combining Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson. I feel like that has the potential, assuming they stay healthy, to be an insanely dynamic combination because Derrick Henry is an insanely hard person to stop. I mean, he's been on a garbage Tennessee Titans team for the last several years, and he's still been one of the best backs in the NFL, putting up crazy numbers. So now he has
exactly.
Lamar Jackson to run with, a high quality
Yeah,
coaching staff. We're talking about like a potential serious situation here. So like I think they can win the
yeah,
Super Bowl. I mean, it seems to me a lot of people are, despite the fact that Lamar has won two MVPs and despite the fact that he's had like basically incredible results so far in the NFL, it still feels like to me that people don't take him serious. And so I think they can win the Super Bowl. I mean, at the end of the day, when you get
yeah.
into that deep season play, especially in the playoffs, and you have the ability to run the ball down people's throat, I feel like that is going to really help a lot. They have Zay Flowers now, which is a really high quality wide receiver, potentially the best wide receiver that Lamar has ever had. So I'm kind of excited
It's gonna be a good
about that.
target for him to hit. Yeah, for sure.
I do think so as well. I think it's gonna be a good game. So I think they're
Yeah.
gonna
So
be a
with
good
that
team.
with that being said, we're gonna lean more towards the plus a half, so that way we cover our ass a bit there. So just in case they're tied 7-7, even if it's a higher scoring game, 14-14.
10-10, yeah,
Yeah,
something like that. Yeah.
we're leaning towards plus a half just in case they're tied there. You can still win your bet. If you want to get a little riskier, you can take minus a half. So you can take the Ravens to be ahead by a field goal or a touchdown or just 1 point in general at plus 150. So there's definitely a 60-point shift there, and there's some decent value there. There's is that first game the Ravens and KC? That's in Brazil, eh?
All right, what'd you say?
The first game with KC in Baltimore.
Yeah,
That's being played in Brazil, so it won't even be
interesting.
won't even won't even be. Sorry, my apologies. Too many stats. That's the Philly and Packers game. So we can actually get into that next. Like you said, Phillies and Packers. Yeah, they'll be playing in Sao Paulo and in Brazil. I feel like the climate there, the altitude. I feel like it's gonna be a crazy game, man. Defense won't be as sharp, but that also means that the offense won't be as sharp as well. I could see that being a high scoring game. I was talking to one of my buddies that's heavy in the NFL with us, and he really likes the over there too as well. He could see it playing a big factor that they're in Brazil, and
Hmm.
it being one of the first games overseas. In Brazil, they're trying to kind of grow the sport, right? So you can't
What's the
have a
line on
boring
that game?
48 and a half, and Eagles open at minus 1.5, and it's closing at minus 2.5. So Philly money line there could be a good pick. But yeah, the over at 48 and a half, he says he really likes the over. You could see it being a high scoring game, and I fully agree. You can't really have this debut NFL game in Brazil and have it be low scoring like a 7-0 game, 14-7. I could really see these guys putting up the plays and the climate, like everything catching up to them out there. But yeah, it
Hmm.
should be exciting that Phillies and Packers game in Brazil there.
I agree. I agree with your assessment. I like that. I like that. I don't know. Maybe I like the Packers game one of the season coming out and having a good game. But
Yeah, Kevin
yeah,
Love. Yeah,
yeah, Jordan
yeah,
Love, yeah. But
yeah.
yeah, I think that's an interesting game. What are your thoughts on the Jets Niners game? It's a big game. I'm excited
Uh,
to watch that game.
I gotta back you there, Jcap. I like the Niners there a lot. I really do.
What's the line on that
So
game?
minus 3.5, they got it pretty low here. So there's some decent value. I mean, money line at minus 200, so it's a little bit more of a risk. But if you want to take the spread there, it's not bad. I feel like if you're gonna go with the minus 3.5, you may as well take the minus 6.5. There's no need to pay juice on minus 3.5 because you still lose the bet if they only win by field goal, right? But I really like the Niners to come out here banging Christian McCaffrey and the guys. I feel like they're gonna put in some work. What are your thoughts on that first game with the Jets there?
What's the over under on that game?
It's sitting at 42.5 right now. Uh, the over being juice, so that means the books believe that it's actually more likely to go over. It's at minus
I think I
150.
would take the Jets plus 3.5, and I think I would expect it to be a tight, low scoring game. I think the Niners are probably going to win the game, but I think that it'll be a good game. I mean, I think that it'll be close. It'll come down to the wire. If I have more than a field goal on the Jets, I think it'd be a field goal game. I mean, I think that it'll come down to like one of the teams having like a drive at the end of the game and kicking a field goal.
Yeah,
If I had to guess, I
I
would take the
agree.
Jets plus 3.5.
I agree. There's a lot of value there too. It's sitting at even money, so you can get a plus 100 on it right now if you want to smash Jets. And like you said, even if they lose the game within a field goal, you still win your bet. So I think there's a lot of value there.
I think so as well. So I don't think they're going to get blown out in the first game of the season. I think they're going to have a good game. and they have a really good defense. So it makes sense that the over under is set at 42. So I totally understand that line. I think it's reasonable. So there's a couple like games that we've given some insights into. We're also going to be betting NBA, maybe some NHL if we find some good spots. But basically, like our plans for this podcast moving forward is to essentially go over some interesting spots in different games, go over our results and what we're looking at and how we've been performing in the Telegram, any updates on the Telegram that we basically want to give you guys. Additionally, just potentially expanding into new content, bringing on new guests in the future to talk about sports, and just keeping you guys generally updated in how we're performing is basically the plan for this podcast. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. It's sort of our first podcast. I think we're going to wrap it up here. And again, if you have any questions, just there's a free Telegram channel as well, and you can find us in there. You can DM us from there. And then additionally, there's our Telegram channel is free, right? So it's a free trial. You do have to put your information in on WAP, but I think you should go make a WAP account. There's lots of communities on there that are valuable besides us, right? And so you can go make your account on WAP, join our channel, see exactly what our picks are. You can join in on our picks for a few days for completely free. And then, assuming you win, it would just pay for the cost of that channel, right? So in theory, this is just an investment of your time, a little bit of an investment of money, but I really believe that we can provide a lot of value to help you guys win at sports and produce an additional income source for you guys. Do you have anything else to say, Binks, or you're good?
No, no, I fully agree with you there. It's a good time to close it out. We do appreciate you guys tuning in and listening to us. Like you said, we're out here to win, man. We want to see you guys win. We're out here to dominate, man. And yeah, we're basically just gonna supply everything we can in that Telegram. And like you said, it's free, so come try it out. Doesn't hurt to just to experience 3 days of winning with us. We never lose back-to-back days, so even if we have a losing day, that's okay. We're crushing every month. So it doesn't hurt. Hop in for free. Come check us out, and we really care about this. We're not just doing it just because we're doing it to win.
Exactly. Okay, we'll leave it there. And yeah, we'll catch you guys in the next podcast. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.